Now by Republican Congressman Mike Turner, who is in Washington tonight after witnessing the speech tonight. So, Congressman, let's get right to it. What were your initial impressions of the tone and the speech itself in general?
I think it was certainly important that the president acknowledged the heroic efforts of the Ukrainian people to fight against the aggression from Russia. It's unfortunate that the president had not authorized weapons, lethal weapons, to be able to assist them in their defense prior to Russia coming in. We've had over a year's worth of notice of this coming. Those of us in Congress who've been watching this have been urging the president to give them the tools to defend themselves. He's now to that point, saying that he's going to work expeditiously to get weapons to them. Certainly our hearts go out to them as we see just the actions of Putin against civilians, women, and children. I think it was curious that the president went to go take credit for Governor DeWine's win of Intel coming to Ohio. It was certainly great to get the recognition for our community and our state. This is going to be a great economic boon, and I certainly want to congratulate and look to Governor DeWine's work as we think about those jobs coming to Ohio. I was also concerned that the president spoke about the inflation, but at the same time he said his answer to that was more spending and higher taxes, which are the type of policies that got us here in the first place. I certainly hope that the president lessens the overall spending in Washington. Certainly looks to ways in which we can get people back to work and our economy moving.
Well, and on that first point you mentioned when talking about Ukraine tonight, he mentioned that wall of strength that Russia ran into. Is that the impression you have from watching in the halls of Congress of what's happening on the ground there?
I think what's important here is that the Ukrainians have the will to fight. President Zelensky has said, we're fighting for democracy and we're fighting for freedom, and that's certainly what we stand for. And so we need to support them. And also it's certainly a threat to our NATO allies and to the United States itself. But the president, I think, is going to rise to the occasion. Certainly the sanctions he put in place are important. It's great that our allies stood with us in that. Those certainly are going to have an impact on Putin's ability to fund this war and to fund his military.
And for people who are impatient, when we talk about sanctions, I think some might say, well, let's send troops over there. But these sanctions, as you mentioned and others have too, they're important as well. Can you explain why these weaken Russian President Putin's ability to wage this war?
Sure. Well, the first thing is it decouples the Western economy from Russia. I think it certainly would have been important if the president had said that we were going to increase our domestic oil production and also, eliminate Russian oil in the United States. But nonetheless, the sanctions that he did put in place are going to target their import-export abilities, which of course goes right to spare parts and their ability to fund their weapons and certainly the tools that they're using to attack Ukraine.
And as we talked about with the economy, Ohio mentioned several times throughout this speech today. What do you make of the fact that the president highlighted Ohio so often? You mentioned Intel as one primary example.
Yeah, I think it goes to, congratulations to Governor DeWine. What a great win for Ohio. This is not only a great win for the United States, and it's a shift that we're going to have actual chip production, that we're going to have this huge investment. But the fact that, in all the competitive sites across the country, Governor DeWine landed this, just on the other side of our backyard is incredibly important for Ohio. The supply chain that's going to be affected, the jobs that are going to come from this, the dividends are going to be very important.
So as we make the turn here, as we close, inflation is one of the biggest issues facing our own country here. What do you see as far as the president's plan that he laid out, and is it workable? And what do you see as being perhaps workable as we move through 2022?
Sure. Well, I've been very concerned about what the president's policies that have put a bunch of Americans out of work, left people with supply chain issues that also affected their ability to just get their goods to the market and also to sell their goods, definitely impacting our economy. But higher spending from Washington and higher taxes are an equation for inflation, and that's what the president currently says he's going to pursue. Hopefully Congress will have a say in that, and we can lessen government spending and also make certain that people aren't paying more in taxes to the federal government, and that should help lower their prices.
All right, Congressman Mike Turner joining us live in Washington tonight. Congressman Turner, thank you so much.
Thank you.